Nobody in that courtroom was breathing right. The air wasn't just tense, it felt heavy, like the moment before a storm breaks. And then it did. The judge spoke, and just like that, everything changed. Chrisean Rock didn't move, not a flinch. Her body stayed frozen in place, but her eyes, they told a completely different story. Something didn't sit right, and people noticed. Because within seconds, the internet lit up. Not about the verdict, but about one name. Blueface. And what he did next. It wasn't just a reaction, it was chaos. Posts went up, then vanished. Cryptic messages appeared out of nowhere. Fans were left confused, trying to piece together what he was even talking about. And then came that one statement, the one insiders are calling the exact moment everything spiraled. But here's where it gets deeper. Sources close to the situation claim Blueface didn't just react to the sentence. He reacted to something else. Something he allegedly found out after the verdict dropped. Something that wasn't supposed to be public, not yet. And if even half of that is true, then this whole situation isn't just messy, it's personal. Now fans are asking the real question. What did he see? What did he hear that pushed him over the edge like that? Because suddenly old clips are resurfacing, deleted live streams, buried messages from months ago. Things people ignored back then are now looking like clues. And just like that, this isn't about a courtroom anymore. It's about secrets, betrayal, and a truth that might have been hiding in plain sight the whole time. So let's rewind, because none of this came out of nowhere. If you've been watching Blueface and Chrisean Rock over the years, you already know this wasn't just a relationship. It was a ticking time bomb. From the start, it felt off. Every calm moment followed by chaos. A fight, a live stream, a leak, another public argument. And people couldn't look away. It felt like a reality show playing out in real time. But behind all the viral moments, something darker was always there. Something people couldn't quite explain, but definitely felt. And now, those old moments are hitting different. Clips of Chrisean breaking down, saying things that didn't fully make sense back then. Emotions that seemed random at the time, but now feel like warnings. Even Blueface's behavior, unpredictable, shifting from calm to completely unfiltered in seconds, has people rethinking everything. Because behind the scenes, according to insiders, there were problems we never saw. Arguments that weren't recorded. Decisions made in private. Situations that never made it online, but may have changed everything. Now imagine living like that. Constant spotlight, constant pressure, millions watching, judging, analyzing every move, while real issues are building behind closed doors. That kind of environment doesn't just create drama. It creates explosions. And right before everything went down, things got quiet. No posts, no livestream chaos, no public back and forth, just silence. And if you've been paying attention, you already know. Silence like that, it's never random. Then came the whispers. Small at first, comments, random posts, easy to ignore. Until they were. People started connecting dots, digging up the past, rewatching everything like investigators trying to solve a mystery, and suddenly, it all started pointing to something bigger. Something serious. Because according to multiple online claims, none officially confirmed, there was an incident. Something big enough to involve legal consequences. Something that pushed everything over the edge. But the details, messy, conflicting, changing depending on who you ask. Some say it was exaggerated. Others say it was worse than anyone realizes. And then there are those who believe we still don't know the real story. But one thing is certain. It all led to that courtroom moment. The moment where everything came crashing down. Now think about the pressure. Every move recorded, every reaction replayed, every expression analyzed by millions. That kind of weight changes people, it pushes them. Sometimes it breaks them. And if what's being whispered is even partly true, that breaking point didn't happen in the courtroom. It happened long before. Which brings us back to Blueface. Because while all of this was unfolding, everyone was watching him. Waiting. Would he defend her? Stay silent? Or do something that would make things even worse? Because if his reaction already told us anything, this story isn't over yet. Would he step back, distance himself, or do something completely unpredictable? If you know Blueface, you already know how this was going to go. Because the moment the verdict dropped, his reaction didn't feel normal. It wasn't just emotional. It wasn't even just dramatic. It felt like the start of something bigger. A chain reaction. One post went up, then another. One message sparked questions. The next one flipped the narrative completely. And before anyone could even process the courtroom outcome, the entire conversation shifted. Suddenly, this wasn't about the sentence anymore. It was about what happened after. What was said, what was deleted, and what might have slipped through the cracks before anyone could stop it. Because here's the truth people are starting to realize. The biggest stories don't always live in the headlines. Sometimes they hide in the reactions. And right now, Blueface's reaction is raising more questions than answers. Why did he go silent so suddenly after posting? Who was he talking to behind the scenes? And what exactly was in that one message, the one that vanished almost instantly, but not before someone grabbed a screenshot? Because if those screenshots are real, then everything people think they know about this situation might be completely wrong. And that's when things started to spiral. The courtroom doors opened and chaos flooded in. Reporters rushed forward, cameras flashed like lightning, voices overlapped, questions flying in every direction. But in the middle of all that noise, one detail stood out. Chrisean Rock didn't react the way anyone expected. No breakdown, no shouting, no visible panic, just silence. And somehow, that made everything feel even heavier. Because according to people who were inside, her expression didn't match the moment. It wasn't shock, it wasn't confusion. It was stillness, almost like she already knew. Now pause right there, because that one detail alone sent social media into overdrive. Within minutes, clips started circulating. Zoomed-in reactions, slowed-down footage, frame-by-frame breakdowns. People analyzing every blink, every breath, every tiny shift in posture. And the comments. She knew. There's something we're not being told. This doesn't add up. But before anyone could even settle on one theory, the real storm hit. Miles away from the courthouse, Blueface picked up his phone. And everything changed. At first, it looked normal. A quick post, a vague message, something emotional enough to feel real, but unclear enough to keep people guessing. Then suddenly, it was gone. Deleted. Like it never existed. Except it did exist. Long enough for screenshots. And once those screenshots started spreading, there was no stopping it. Because that first message, it wasn't just emotional. It was cryptic. The kind of message that doesn't make sense at first, but the more you look at it, the more it starts to feel like it's pointing at something deeper. Something personal. Something that maybe wasn't supposed to be public. One user posted, "Why does it sound like he's reacting to something other than the sentence?" And just like that, everything shifted. Now the question wasn't just what happened in court. It became, what did Blueface know, and when did he know it? Before the internet could even catch its breath, another post appeared. Longer, heavier, more intense. And this one, it stayed up just long enough to do real damage. In it, Blueface allegedly hinted at betrayal. Not directly, not clearly, but enough. Phrases like, "Y'all don't even know the truth. Everything ain't what it seems. I stayed quiet for a reason." Now think about that. When someone says something like that, right after a situation this big, what do you think people are going to do? Exactly. They dig. And that's exactly what happened. The internet went into investigation mode. Old videos resurfaced. Clips from months ago started trending again. Moments that once felt random suddenly felt important. Like clues. One clip in particular exploded. It showed Chrisean Rock during a live stream, visibly emotional, saying, "They don't know what really be going on." At the time, people ignored it. Now, it hits completely different. Because suddenly, it doesn't sound like emotion. It sounds like a warning. And while all of this was unfolding publicly, something else was happening behind the scenes. Private calls, messages, people reaching out, trying to figure out what was real and what wasn't. According to one insider, again, unconfirmed, there was a conversation that changed everything. A conversation involving Blueface and someone very close to the situation. No recordings, no full details, just claims. Claims that whatever was said in that conversation is the real reason behind his reaction. Now think about that for a second. If his reaction wasn't about the sentence, then what was it about? What could be so unexpected, so serious, that it triggered that kind of response? And more importantly, why hasn't it been revealed? Because if it were simple, we'd know by now. But we don't. And that silence, it's loud. Then came the twist no one saw coming. A leaked message, allegedly sent before the verdict. Let that sink in. Before, which means if it's real, something was already in motion. The message, one line. After today, everything changes. No context, no explanation. Just that. And the timing. Way too suspicious to ignore. Now people are asking, who sent it? Who received it? And how did they know something major was about to happen? Because if that message is real, then this isn't just a reaction story anymore. It's something planned, something anticipated, something deeper than anyone expected. And of course, people connected it straight back to Blueface. The pressure exploded. Every post, every silence, every movement, analyzed. And just when it felt like things couldn't get any more chaotic, they did. Because later that night, he went live. At first, nothing unusual. He looked tired, frustrated, overwhelmed. But then, he started talking. And what he said didn't just raise eyebrows. It set the internet on fire. He hinted at hidden truths, talked about people playing roles, said things like, "I tried to tell y'all, but nobody wanted to listen." Now imagine watching that in real time, trying to piece it together, trying to connect it to everything else happening. It was chaos, pure chaos. And then, just as people started demanding answers, the live ended. No explanation, no goodbye, just gone. And that moment, that's when everything shifted. From confusing to completely out of control. Because now this wasn't just about a courtroom anymore. It was about what's being hidden, what's being hinted at, and what might be coming next. And if that live was just a preview, then what came after didn't just escalate things. It detonated them. Within hours, the internet turned into a battlefield. Timelines moving so fast you couldn't keep up. Clip screenshots, leaked DMs, audio snippets, threads breaking everything down second by second. And right in the center of it all, Blueface and Chrisean Rock. But just when people thought they were finally piecing the story together, another leak dropped. And this one changed everything. An anonymous account posted what they claimed was a private voice note. No verification, no confirmation, but the voice, unmistakably similar to someone close to the situation. And the message, chilling: y'all keep focusing on the wrong thing. The truth ain't even out yet. That one sentence hit like a shockwave. Because now people weren't just curious. They were convinced that everything we've seen so far is just the surface, and something much bigger is hiding underneath. And the speed, unreal. Within minutes, hashtags exploded globally. People weren't just reacting anymore, they were investigating, breaking down tone, analyzing background noise, trying to identify where the clip was recorded. Some even claimed they recognized voices in the background. Whether that's true or not doesn't even matter anymore. Because at this point, the story has taken on a life of its own. And here's the part nobody can ignore. Every new detail raises more questions than answers. Every clue leads to another mystery. And the deeper people dig, the less clear things become. So now we're left with this: a courtroom moment that didn't feel right, a reaction that didn't match the situation, deleted posts that said too much too quickly, a leaked message that came before everything, a live stream that hinted at something bigger, and a voice note that suggests we haven't even seen the truth yet. So the real question is no longer what happened. It's this: what's still being hidden? And when it finally comes out, will it explain everything? Or make this situation even more explosive than it already is? Because if there's one thing we know for sure, this story isn't finished. Not even close. And just like that, this stopped feeling like celebrity drama. This felt like a mystery. Because right when things couldn't get any more chaotic, Blueface stepped back into the spotlight and somehow made everything worse. Not by speaking, not by explaining, but by doing something so small, it shook the entire internet. He liked a post. Yeah, just a like. But not just any post. It directly referenced the leaked voice note, the one everyone was already questioning. The post read: "If this is true, then we've all been lied to." And the second people saw that like, everything exploded again. Because in today's world, a like isn't just a like. It's a signal, a message, sometimes even a confirmation. So now people are asking, was that intentional? Was it accidental? Or was that his way of saying something without actually saying it? Because let's be honest, he knows people are watching. Every move, every click, every second. So that like, it didn't feel random. It felt calculated. And that's when things started spiraling even faster. Because while the internet was dissecting that one click, insiders started speaking out. Anonymous sources, unverified claims. But the timing, way too perfect to ignore. One source said tensions had been building for weeks before the courtroom moment. Arguments, disagreements, and one situation that allegedly crossed a line. But the part that really shook people, they said, the public doesn't even know half of what really happened. Half? Let that sink in. Because if everything we've seen so far is only half the story, then what's the other half? And why hasn't it come out yet? Now shift your focus to social media. Because at this point, it wasn't just fans anymore. Celebrities started paying attention. Subtle tweets began popping up. No names, no direct references. But the timing, way too perfect. One artist wrote, "Truth always comes out, no matter how deep it's buried." Another posted, "Y'all really believe everything you see. Now tell me that doesn't feel targeted." Because it does. And people noticed immediately. Now the internet isn't just reacting, it's decoding. Who's on whose side? Who knows something? Who's staying quiet on purpose? Because right now, silence is louder than anything. But just when it felt like things couldn't get more intense, another twist hit. And this one flipped everything. An old video resurfaced. Never went viral before. Never got attention. Until now. The clip shows Chrisean Rock in what looks like a private moment. No filters, no performance. Just raw emotion. And in that clip, she says something people can't stop replaying. One day everything gonna make sense, but not right now. At the time, it sounded vague, forgettable. Now, it sounds like a warning, like she knew something we didn't. And the way she said it, not angry, not dramatic, just certain. Now put everything together. The courtroom reaction, the deleted posts, the live stream, the leaked message, the voice note, and now this clip. At this point, it doesn't feel random anymore. It feels like a pattern, like a story that's been unfolding right in front of us, piece by piece, and we just didn't notice it at the time. But then, everything went over the edge, because out of nowhere, Blueface posted again. No build-up, no warning, just one line. "Y'all not ready for what's next." That's it. No explanation. No follow-up. Just that. Now think about the timing. After all the confusion, after all the speculation, after everything that already happened, he drops that. That wasn't just a post. It felt like a threat, or a promise, maybe even a warning. And now, nobody knows what to believe anymore. Because every new piece of information doesn't clear things up. It makes everything more complicated, more intense, more unpredictable. And now the biggest question of all. What is next? Because if everything we've seen so far is just the beginning, then whatever's coming could change the entire story. And here's the scary part. It might already be in motion. At this point, it wasn't just drama anymore. It was war. Online. The second that post hit, "Y'all not ready for what's next," the internet lost control. Timelines flooded instantly. Comment sections turned into battlegrounds. Fan pages started posting theory like breaking news alerts. And right in the center of the chaos, Blueface versus Chrisean Rock. But here's where it got even crazier. People stopped reacting and started choosing sides. On one side, you had people defending Chrisean hard, digging up old clips, reposting interviews, breaking down past moments like evidence, saying things like, "She tried to tell us. Y'all ignored the signs. Everyone switched up too fast." Some even built full timelines, connecting dots nobody noticed before. The tone, emotional, protective, almost like guilt, like people were realizing too late that they missed something important. But on the other side, things got just as intense. Blueface's supporters weren't backing down. Not even close. They pulled up his old interviews, his past reactions, moments where he hinted at something deeper. And they pushed one narrative. He's not reacting to the situation, he's reacting to the truth coming out. One viral comment said exactly that. And just like that, the story split in two. Now it wasn't about facts anymore. It was about belief. Who do you trust? What feels real? And what are we not being told? And then, social media went into absolute overdrive. This wasn't just trending. It was everywhere. TikTok, flooded with breakdown videos, slow motion analysis, people zooming into facial expressions like detectives. Twitter, pure chaos, threads 50, 60, even 100 posts deep, trying to map out the timeline. Instagram, blog pages posting updates every few minutes like it was a live event. And the comments, completely out of control. People arguing, accusing, defending, switching sides in real time. You could literally watch someone change their opinion mid-thread. That's how intense this got. And then, theories took over. Because when facts run out, people start filling in the gaps. Some believe everything we've seen is only a small piece of a much bigger situation. Others think every moment, the lives, the silence, the posts, are all connected in ways we're just now starting to understand. And then there are those who believe this was never meant to stay private, that it was always going to explode like this, that someone knew it would. Now, whether any of that is true, nobody knows. But the fact that people are even thinking this way tells you everything. Because this isn't just a story anymore. It's a puzzle. And right now, everyone's trying to solve it before whatever comes next changes everything. And just like that, the energy shifted again. Because once celebrities start reacting, even without saying names, you know it's serious. At first it was subtle. A tweet here, a vague quote there. Posts that could mean anything, but somehow felt way too specific. One artist wrote, "People love you until the truth shows up." Another posted, "Some stories got layers y'all ain't ready for." No names, no context. But the message, loud, and fans picked up on it instantly. Tags started flying. Names got thrown around. People tried to connect dots that weren't even visible yet. Because even without saying anything directly, it felt like the industry was watching closely. And maybe, just maybe, they knew something the public didn't. Then the media stepped in. Blogs, headlines, sources close to the situation. And once that happened, everything got messier. Because now it didn't feel like speculation anymore. It felt like information. Articles started popping up everywhere. Inside the chaos, what really happened? Behind the scenes, sources say there's more than we know. But here's the problem. Every source said something different. One claimed things were misunderstood. Another hinted at hidden details. Another suggested this situation is far from over. So instead of clearing things up, it made everything worse. Because now nobody knew what to believe. But out of all the noise, one statement stopped people in their tracks. Not from a celebrity, not from a blog, from someone claiming to be close to both sides. And what they said, Y'all arguing over pieces when the full story hasn't even started yet. Read that again. The full story hasn't even started yet. Now think about everything we've already seen. The courtroom, the reactions, the leaks, the lives, the posts, and you're telling me that's not even the full story. That line alone shook the internet. Because if it's true, then everything happening right now, it's just the beginning. And you can feel it. The energy online isn't just loud anymore, it's tense. Like everyone's waiting, refreshing, watching. Because it feels like something is about to drop at any second. Something big. And the scariest part, nobody knows where it's coming from. Another post, another leak, another live, or something completely unexpected. Because if this situation has proven anything, it's that nothing is predictable. And then, right when people thought things were finally slowing down, everything flipped. Instantly, late that night without warning, a new piece of information dropped. No build-up, just boom. And this time, it didn't feel like speculation. It felt targeted. A screenshot started circulating, cleaner than the others, more detailed, way more specific. The kind of screenshot that makes you stop, zoom in, read twice, and then say, "Wait, what?" Because this message, it wasn't from after the courtroom. It was from before, way before. Let that sink in. Because if that's true, then everything we thought was a reaction might actually be a response to something that already happened behind the scenes. And just like that, the timeline everyone believed in shattered completely. But it gets worse, because the message didn't just hint at emotion. It hinted at strategy. Lines like, "Don't say anything yet. Let it play out. They'll figure it out after. Now pause." Because if that's even close to real, this isn't just drama anymore. This is calculated. And suddenly, people started looking at everything differently. The silence not random. The reactions not impulsive. The posts not emotional. Planned. Or at least, that's what people are starting to believe. And then, right after that screenshot blew up, Blueface disappeared. No posts. No responses. No lives. Nothing. And if you've been watching closely, you already know that's not normal. Because he's usually quick, loud, reactive. But now, silence. Complete silence. And that silence, it's making people nervous. Because when someone at the center of chaos suddenly goes quiet, it usually means one thing. They know something. Something they're not ready to say yet. And here's what makes it even more unsettling. Chrisean Rock hasn't said a word either. Not a post. Not a statement. Not even a reaction. Now think about that. Two people. Global attention. Massive situation. And both of them silent. That's not coincidence. That's pressure. That's tension building. And when pressure builds like that, it doesn't fade. It explodes. And right on cue, another rumor started spreading. Quiet at first, then everywhere. People start. Ed saying something else is coming. Something bigger than the leaks. Bigger than the posts. Bigger than the courtroom itself. A reveal. But not just any reveal. Something that could flip the entire narrative. Again, now nobody knows exactly what it is. Some say it's a video. Others say it's audio. Some believe it's a statement being held back on purpose. But one thing is clear. The timing feels deliberate. Because if something is coming, and it hasn't dropped yet, that means someone is waiting. Waiting for the right moment. Waiting for maximum impact. And that's what makes this feel far from over. Now imagine this for a second. Everything you've seen so far. Every post. Every leak. Every reaction. What if all of it was just the setup? Because let's be real. Nothing about this feels finished. There are too many questions. Too many gaps. Too many moments that don't fully make sense. And the deeper you look, the more it feels like something is being held back. On purpose. So now the biggest question becomes, what happens when that final piece drops? Because if everything so far has already caused this much chaos, then whatever comes next, it won't just trend. It will take over. And the scariest part, it could change everything. How people see the past, the relationship, the entire situation. All of it flipped in an instant. So now here we are, watching, waiting, refreshing, trying to figure out what's real and what is. But deep down, everyone feels it. This isn't over. Not even close. Because something is coming. And when it does, it might finally make everything make sense. Or make everything even more confusing. Either way, one thing is certain. The next move, it's going to shock everyone. So let me ask you something. After everything you've just seen, do you actually believe what's been shown so far? Or do you think something much bigger is still being hidden? Because at this point, it's not just about what happened. It's about what hasn't been revealed. And that's where things get dangerous. So now I want to hear from you. Whose side are you on? Blueface or Chrisean Rock? Or do you think both sides are hiding something? Say what you really think. Because the conversation around this, it's already turning into a war zone. And if you've made it this far, you already know. This isn't just another story. This is something that keeps evolving, getting deeper, more intense, and far from finished. Because with everything that's been hinted at, everything that's been deleted, everything that still doesn't make sense, there's no way this ends here. So stay ready. Because if the biggest twist hasn't happened yet, then what's coming next might change everything.